Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, for subscribing, and just gonna put that there. And for sharing, it helps the channel grow. I thought it would be interesting to share with you a message I got that I thought was pretty interesting. So everyone's talking about, oh, people who are chosen, you're the chosen one. These people are the chosen ones. Well, actually, there's a lot of people who are chosen ones. And technically, it's based on your own spiritual work and what you're willing to do. So, a lot of people are chosen. It's not just this select little handful of people that God, the creator of everything and source and light, decided these are the only chosen people and no one else, was the message that I received. So I thought I would talk about some of the 10 signs I was told about so you could evaluate it and decide if you felt you fell into the category. I think personally everybody on the channel seems to be pretty spiritually enlightened, because obviously the first thing you go through is a spiritual awakening. Just because you go through a spiritual awakening doesn't make you spiritually enlightened. You then go through multiple spiritual journeys, and as we continue to go through spiritual journeys, we transform. It's the death and rebirth process, and we keep going through those and keep going through those so we can start to obtain spiritual enlightenment with the ultimate goal of spiritual ascension. So, what I've noticed based on my interactions and things people have posted and asked and said is that everyone's really evolving and growing spiritually, profoundly, and a lot are highly enlightened. And based on what Moira said last week, some or many of you are on the path of ascension. I mean, how would I know? I'm not an ascended master. I would have no idea. So, obviously, you're a very spiritual group. So, I think if you're at that vibrational frequency and you're on this channel listening, you're most likely a chosen one. That would seem pretty logical to me. And I think in cases like that, that's where logic applies. Because you start to wake up spiritually, and just because you're newly spiritually awoken doesn't mean you're also not a chosen one. It just means you're starting your journey spiritually too. So what I was getting also was, these are some things that people who are chosen have or have experienced. It's not a checklist. You don't have to check the boxes to say, I am now a chosen one. If you have gone through a spiritual awakening and are going through spiritual transformations and are on this path of spiritual enlightenment or towards spiritual ascension, then you most likely are already chosen. So don't get bogged down into the criteria of, I must meet these certain check boxes to be a chosen one. You already are chosen. You're already here. You're already at a frequency, having conversations and understanding things that majority of the world can't even understand. So you already are chosen, is what I was hearing when I was meditating and trying to get down like really basic concepts to talk about that would make it easy for all of us to have a conversation about if we wanted to have a conversation about it, kind of thing. So the first thing is, since you can remember, you've always known you've had a higher purpose here on earth. And that higher purpose could be, I've always known I've been here to help humanity. I've always known I've been here to help the planet, to save endangered species. Since you can remember, you've always known you've been here for a higher purpose. It doesn't matter what your career is or what you do, you've just always felt this calling to have a higher purpose in life. That is the first one. The second one is you've never questioned what is your life purpose. You've always known what your life purpose was, because it's number one. You've always had this inner knowing of, I'm here for humanity, I'm here for animals, I'm here for endangered species, I'm here for Gaia, planet Earth. You've always known since you were young. You've always had this inner knowing. So if you've always had that, then you've always had number two. You've always really known what your life purpose really was or is. Number three, you've always had some kind of, I don't really want it, well, we all have psychic abilities, but you've always had some type of gift, ability. Now, I know our journeys in life are all unique and different. I've had mine since I've been 3, and then I tried to block it for a while. You can block them, but you can only block them for so long. Or you can block them, but things still will get out there. And then after a while, it's just like you can't fight it any longer. It's just so exhausting fighting it. So you may have had it when you were really young, where you could see people who passed over, and you might have forgotten about it, blocked it, and oh, here they are again. They appeared 20 years later, 30 years later, and there they are. So things like that could be what happened to you. You may have always had it and just embraced it. So you've always had something. You may have always had visions in your dreams. You may have always had vivid dreams. You may have always had premonitions. You may have always astral traveled since you've been a child, and that's just seemed normal to you. You didn't know that wasn't something everyone didn't do. You just never talked about it, or you were just always told to be quiet about it. But you've always had some kind of gift or ability that not everyone else has always had, that's just so natural and easy to use, where others have to train really hard. For me, I've never trained in anything or been taught how to do anything. I've always just done whatever I've done. So you would be like that. You've just naturally been able to do whatever you've been able to do. For number 4, you are naturally just very empathetic and very compassionate. Now, it doesn't mean that you might show it on a daily basis, because maybe you're in a line of work where you can't show empathy and compassion all the time because it could put your life in danger. So you can't do that if you want to stay alive. Such as a police officer, you would need to be able to draw that line in order to stay alive, right? But it doesn't mean you can't be empathetic and compassionate toward whoever if you're interrogating them. But you're just naturally an empathetic, compassionate person, and you also have that ability to do it towards yourself. It's hard to learn to do it towards yourself, so I can tell you that. That's a skill you do have to learn. But you are just naturally empathetic and compassionate toward everybody else. Number 5 is just this, since you can remember, you've always had this knowing without ever being taught that there's always been God, a creator of all creation, source, universe, light, whatever resonates with you. You've just always known it's existed. You never doubted it. You didn't have to be taught anything. You always felt comfortable with it. You've always believed in it. You never questioned it. It's very common for people who are the supposed chosen ones. I use this because loosely because I think it's become overutilized, because I think a lot of people are chosen, especially as they evolve spiritually. Why would you not be chosen? It's my question. You're at that vibrational frequency. Who would shut the doors on somebody who's loving and empathetic and compassionate and has evolved spiritually? Nobody. So I think a lot of these things are sometimes man-made concepts to try to divide society. I think a lot of people create things to sell things, which is fine. Things are beautiful. I think you should buy things. I just think you should always use your discernment when purchasing books or certain types of products, to make sure it's in your highest good. So just use your discernment when doing that so you're not taken advantage of. That's what I care about for everybody. And you'll know. Just read it and use your discernment, because it's so easy to be misstrayed on our spiritual journeys that we don't have the, always the right people in front of us. And instead they care more about how much money can they make than actually delivering the right message. And what matters more is the right message and guiding people with the information that they have than trying to promote something of themselves. There's nothing wrong with promoting yourself and promoting things and promoting your own creativity. I think that's a beautiful thing. If you want to promote your books you write and your art and things like that, I think that's wonderful. I just say use your discernment on the things that you purchase. But I think some of these things are man-made concepts in some ways, because it makes you feel like they have to then follow by all these things over here to then follow these steps in order to fall into this collective group, so they then become chosen. When it's already in you. You already have the light. You already have it in you. You directly can connect to God, the Creator, to the universe, to Source, to light. You don't need anyone else to do that for you. And that's where I think I get a little weary when people want to take everyone else's money, especially when money is so tight around the world these days, when you can already do it yourself for free. And so I think it's important, you can be chosen and you don't have to pay for any of that. And that's what I care about. That's my little soapbox, okay? 6, you have the unique ability to just naturally connect with other people. 6, I'm trying to hold up the numbers for you. 6, you have the unique ability just to naturally connect with other people. People are just drawn to you for no reason. You could be in line at the grocery store. You could be lying at the shop to have a cup of tea. You could be lying at the market buying flowers. And people just start talking to you. And they might tell you their biggest problems in life that they've never told anyone. They might tell you their worst ailments. They might tell you their sob story. They might tell you the happiest memory of their life from their childhood. But people will just connect with you and tell you their deepest, most intimate stories from their life. And you're thinking, I don't even know you, but you welcome them with love and compassion. And so people are just drawn to you, your energy, who your essence is. I think a lot of people don't realize that about themselves. And I think if you notice that and you start paying attention to it, you'll notice people will just start telling you things. And all you have to do is validate them and tell them thank you for sharing their story. That's it. You don't have to reciprocate with something about yourself. Don't ever feel you then have to tell some deep, dark secret about yourself to somebody else. you can just receive the information and thank them for sharing it with you, or tell them that was, if it was a beautiful story, oh, I have so much gratitude for you sharing such a beautiful story with me. Thank you. Have a lovely day, and go about your day. And leave the energy there. Don't take it with you. It's not your energy. Don't take it with you. If it's a sad story, thank them for sharing that with you, that they felt comfortable. Leave that energy there and don't take it with you, because it's not your job to take all that on. 7. This is a big one. I know I feel this one a lot. You actually feel isolated. You feel really isolated. You might have just a few very close friends, but you might have tons of like social people you talk to, but very, very few close people to you in your life. Because you feel like they can't relate, they can't understand, they don't understand you maybe spiritually, they don't understand maybe some of your abilities, because sometimes they just come out and you can't help it. But you feel a little bit more isolated in your life. Maybe more isolated at some points than others, but you probably are a little bit more isolated than the average person, I would say. Number 8. Oh, number 8, yes. At some point, if not even throughout your whole life, but usually you would have suffered greatly. And when I say suffered greatly, I mean you would have had trials and tribulations beyond the average person. So, everyone has a sob story to tell. This is life. We all go through difficult situations. But these are not normal stories that the average person would tell. Yes, half of America, I live in America, is divorced. Okay, that's very sad and unfortunate, but that's 50% of the people who are married end up divorced. I think the statistics might be going down now, but that wouldn't be one of those trials and tribulations kind of things. I mean, you would have, near-death experiences. You would have maybe people tried to kill you, or you escaped, or you grew up in dire poverty and escaped that, or you saved someone who was dying. I mean, just really unique stories people would not have in life that are very unusual. But you wouldn't have one. You would have enough to write a book about that would shock people that you keep to yourself. Because you know it's in your best interest, and in society's best interest, or in your friendship's best interest, not to share them. But you probably have 1 or 2 good friends you can actually share them with, so it unburdens you. And that's why you're more isolated and have a couple good friends. Number 9. I like number 9. This is probably well, I guess there's 11, but I'm only gonna tell 10, so I'm only gonna use 10 of them. So 10, oh, actually I had more than that. I had 11. So I'm just gonna end on 10. I'm not gonna do the other 2. I'm just gonna end on 10. You never use your gifts or abilities to your benefit. So you only use them for the highest good of others. Some people would be able to abuse some of the abilities that they have, and that would make them then start to live like more in their shadow side, more on the side of greed, more in the side of gluttony, and you're somebody who wouldn't even think like that. You would think this wouldn't be in the best interest of humanity if I did this. So you're somebody who doesn't even think like that. Let's say, for example, you're somebody who just intuitively always knows all the numbers every time to win the lottery, right? Then you could technically use those numbers to win the lottery for yourself. But I'm just using this as a very simplistic example. But you wouldn't do that, because then you would feel you're using them for a selfish reason, when you would rather give those numbers to other people or other organizations that are charitable, that could benefit from that money to do good with. Because you'll be rewarded in a different way by giving those numbers away that would bring in abundance to you. You wouldn't astral travel and go spy on somebody you're interested in, because you know that'd be an invasion of their privacy, because you wouldn't want them to do that to you. So you would always respect that if you're somebody who can astral travel all the time. So there's things that you just would never do, knowing that that would be disruptive and impersonal and not right, and an abuse of an ability you have. So you have that moral compass and that moral code that you live by within your soul that no one taught you. You just naturally know because you live by that, and it's something that's just ingrained in you. And I would say an 11th one, I'll just put a little asterisk when I do the timestamps, is you can naturally see the light in others who are like you. It's easy to find people like you. When you come across someone you know, you'll naturally know them from your past life, or you naturally know other people who have other gifts. You are so at ease and so happy and so excited when you come in contact with them. And you are able to tell when people are truly genuine and when people are inauthentic. Now, growing up, you might have had to learn some lessons through that, because it's also part of, maturity and learning and growing. But at this point, I would say as an adult, right? You know who they are. And so you naturally gravitate towards those authentic, genuine souls. And you're very excited when you come across one, because you can welcome them into your life and have a nice rapport with them, knowing that they are as authentic and genuine as you. And no one is out to try to steal something like someone's gift or ability, or everyone is here just to grow spiritually and learn from one another. And oh, that's so neat, you can do that, this is what I do, and maybe we could work together, and how can we help, what each of our interests are in terms of what we've always been drawn to. Maybe you've always been drawn to animals and I've always been drawn to humanity, and how can we collaborate to help both, and things like that. So you start to learn who's really genuine and really see through people and their souls, and who's out for something else. And it becomes easier. That's why I said use your discernment. It starts to become easy to see who's out to take advantage, I think, of people who are trying really hard to grow spiritually, or it's easy to see who is trying to make money off of people who have worked so hard for that money all week, and that's all the money that they have, or when they don't need to take their money. You can see that too. You can see it all. So that's how you know you're a chosen one. I'm covered in the chills. So yes, my guides are confirming. You are, because you're of the same vibration. You can see it. So there's not just a select few, there's a much larger group. And it can continue to grow if you all want to grow spiritually. It doesn't have to stop at some exact number. The universe is infinite, as is God and love. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or email me with a question. These are just a few things I briefly touched on. There's a lot more to list. I thought I would just say a few things that might help some of you. And I will talk to you soon.